All right. Meanwhile, let's talk about that guy right there. Democratic Socialist Bernie Sanders is officially running for the White House, but the entire Democratic Party seems to be racing to the left with Bernie. So where do some of the candidates and their big government ideas fall on our socialism scale? Here to break it down is Chris Wilson, the former campaign pollster for Senator Ted Cruz. Today he's down in Austin. Chris, good morning to you.
Morning, Steve.
Okay, so last time, 2016, Bernie Sanders came close to Hillary Clinton, and now he seems to be the business model because so many of the Democrats are racing to the left, but nobody is really out-Bernieing Bernie at this point, are they?
No, well, you have to give Bernie Sanders credit for consistency. If there's an idea out there that will drag America into mid-20th century style European socialism, he's for it. And if there's not one out there for it, he'll invent one. I mean, whether it comes to trying to take over the entire economy through the Green New Deal, to massive tax cuts, to eliminating private health insurance and Medicare for all, it is really remarkable how far to the left he's gone. And, you know, it's really, when you look at the way in which the entire Democratic field is aligning themselves, they are walking right into what I think was the brilliant trap set by President Trump during the State of the Union, in which he made the call that America will not become a socialist country.
Okay, so let's look at some of Bernie's issues on a socialism scale. So, Chris, as we look at the screen, far left is socialism, and then you have Bernie Sanders' standard. And then to the right is actually, since these are all Democrats, is the center, and that's Amy Klobuchar. So you've got Bernie on the far left, Amy Klobuchar in the center, and then closest to Bernie, you've got Kamala Harris, Elizabeth Warren, and then closer to Klobuchar, you've got Cory Booker.
Right. Well, I would say, Klobuchar is interesting. It's going to be interesting to watch, particularly as it works itself out into the debates, because she's trying to become what you classify in the modern Democratic Party as a moderate, but just 4 to 6 years ago, we would consider to be the far left. And she's doing that in a manner that isn't really all that in fashion today in the Democratic Party, which is incrementalism. So I almost feel kind of bad for her staff as they begin to gin up a presidential campaign. They'll build a team around her, and they're going to find very quickly that there's not a real taste for that or appetite for it in the Democratic Party. Right. I think when you come to look at the other candidates, I mean, Elizabeth Warren is, that's a campaign that I really believe is kind of almost stillborn in the sense of she can't even rise to the polls in New Hampshire, which is in the same media market as Massachusetts. And her signature policies of regulating Wall Street are almost too moderate today, where you could say that eat the rich has become their battle cry. And it's, you look at the other candidates that are kind of fall in between, whether it's Kamala Harris trying to eliminate modern all health, private health insurance, but at the same time, her policies of tough on crime are closer to Bill Clinton, really, than they were to AOC. So she's going to have a tough time defining herself.
All right, let's define their tax policy. Once again, far left, closest to socialism, is Bernie. Then you got Amy Klobuchar in the center. Then you got essentially the same lineup in the center. You got Kamala Harris, Elizabeth Warren, and Cory Booker.
Yeah, well, what's going to happen here is you're just going to see them all race to the top. I mean, how much of a percentage it's almost going to be like a bidding war. Can we, jump on top of each other? I think where it begins today in February of 2019, is going to be very different from where it is in the primaries. And again, this is where the debates are going to come down. You saw this to a little bit in the Republican primary in 2016, and you'll see the Democrats do it as well. Just kind of outbid each other. Who's going to raise taxes the most?
Excellent question. I've heard in the last week or so a number of Democratic strategists talking about, well, we're not really talking about socialism because we're just talking about social programs. Because if so many people have equated Social Security with socialism. That's what the Democrats say. What do the Republicans say about that?
I think, again, it gets back to my original point, which just kind of plays right into the hands of where Donald Trump set out in the State of the Union to define this race. If the Democrats follow the lead of their new hot media stars like AOC and race to the left, and Bernie Sanders is potentially, there's a good chance of being their nominee, this becomes a campaign between capitalism versus socialism. It's
an easy choice then when people do vote in a couple of years. All right, Chris, thank you very much.
You bet. Thank you.
All right.